I got a call to remove a colony of bees from a compost bin, and here's how I did it. The colony had been there for months and there were tens of thousands of bees. So I started to carefully move the comb structure from the bin into a temporary travel hive. I put the comb into frames using rubber bands to secure it for transit. Then I started to get the bees into the temporary hive by scooping them up with my hands. These bees were pretty gentle and did not try to sting me as I worked with care and intention, all while looking for the queen bee, who is the largest bee in the colony. After I removed a lot of the worker bees, I suddenly saw the queen crawling on the side of the bin, so I put her in a clip to keep her safe. There she is! I put the queen in the new hive and all the other bees started to follow her scent. So I closed up the hive, I loaded it into my truck to take them to their new home, and it was another successful day of saving the bees.
There was a big beehive in this box in someone's backyard, and it was my job to give the bees a new home. So I opened the box to find an amazing hive that was packed full of honey. I knew that it would take me all day to move these bees out of the box, so before I began, I enjoyed a bit of honey straight from the hive. Then I started to remove each piece of comb. These bees had spent several years building this hive and filling it with everything they needed to survive. So I worked carefully to preserve all of the bees' hard work. But this hive was so big that after I was done removing the comb from the top of the box, there was still a lot more waiting for me in this stack of tires. And since the new hive was already packed full, I saved all of this honey in a bucket for the bees. After I had removed most of the hive from the box and the tires, it was time to start scooping up the bees and looking for the queen. I just kept scooping handful after handful of bees into the new hive, and after a lot of scooping and searching, I found the queen on the outside of the box. So I put her in a clip and I put her into the new hive. Then I gave the bees a bunch of smoke so that they would move out of the box and into the new hive. And after the colony settled into the new hive with their queen, I took them home, and it was another great day of saving the bees. This is a male bee getting kicked out of the hive by a female bee. Male honeybees are called drones, and they don't do much work around the hive. They don't collect food, they don't take care of the baby bees, they don't build the hive, and they don't defend the hive since they don't have stingers. This is why you've probably never seen a male honeybee before unless you've been near or inside of a hive. Male bees only have one job, to mate with a queen. So when mating season is over and winter is coming, the worker bees force all of the drones out of the hive. Sometimes they chase them out, sometimes they drag them out. But once they're out of the hive, the male bees will either starve or freeze to death. In fact, you can often find a pile of dead male bees on the ground around the entrance of the hive. During the winter, there aren't as many flowers in bloom and food is scarce. The drones are just more mouths to feed at a time when resources are low. Since they're no longer making significant contributions, the female bees have to get rid of the males for the survival of the colony.
These bees were building a hive in a water meter box in someone's front yard. I was called to remove them, and here's how I did it. The first step was lifting the lid of the box up. As you can see, there were a ton of bees. They had been starting to build some honeycomb right on the lid of that box, so I gently set it down. There were so many bees, but the most important bee was the queen, so I needed to make sure I got her in the new hive. So I decided to give that top a few shakes, and all the bees fell into their new hive. I set down the lid and I would start to look for the queen, hoping that she fell into the box when I gave that lid a few good shakes. I thought I saw her, so I searched a little more. Do you see her? There she is. We got her.